Welcome to the inaugural broadcast of Bearcats on the Prowl on the Grueling Truth Radio Network. I'm your host, James Ernest, and I'm wanting to welcome my co-host, Mark Fightmaster, to the show.
Thanks, James. So tonight, James, it looks like what we're going to do is we are going to take a look ahead at Bearcats' first game this season against Tennessee Martin. But before we do that, I want to remind everybody to check out our Facebook page, and I'll be sharing a link for that, and we'll put a link in with the podcast. So make sure you check that out and give it a look and give us a like and make sure to follow us.
Yeah, it should be an easy game for UC, but it's always good to start off with a non-conference game to kind of get things in order, especially how the quarterback situation started off this year with some diversity.
Exactly. You know, James, going into the game, I mean, they just announced this week that Hayden Moore is going to be the starter, the sophomore, instead of Gunnar Keel, who ran into a few problems last year at the end of the season, especially around the bowl game. Didn't play in the bowl game, and then he's kind of taken a little bit of a media silence, so we have no idea what's going on with him. But Coach Tuberville feels that Hayden Moore can run the offense and get things going for the Bearcats, so I trust him, and we're going to see what this young man can do next Thursday night.
Yeah, the nice thing is with Hayden Moore, how last season he ended up breaking UC's whole-time record for yards in a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's impressive. Now, the one thing I worry about going into the game is he's lost, what was it? I think they lost their top 5 receivers from last year.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I think the top returning receiver is Nate Cole. He caught all of 19 passes last year, so we'll see what he can do. It definitely looks like they're going to have to maybe lean on that running game a little bit because they are bringing back Mike Boone and they're bringing back Tion Green. So we're going to see what those two can do in the backfield. Last year they both, ran for more than 700 yards apiece on the season. So they may have to lean on them a little bit. And that's okay because the offensive line is anchored by a returning center, and they've got some good players on the offensive line. So hopefully they're going to be able to rely on those guys and just get the offense going and then open up the passing from there.
They do. I mean, they have several of their linemen coming back, but they do also worry me a little bit there because they did lose 2 of them. Actually, I think both to the AFC West. Was it Justin Martin and what was the other one? I forget the guy that went to Kansas City, but they ended up losing 2 of them. Parker. I can't pronounce it. Ehinger.
Ehringer. Yeah, Ehringer.
Yeah. So I mean, they've had, but you're right. They do have some consistency coming back there, so that helps. And then, like you said, with Moore stepping in there last year. I mean, going over 1,000 yards, heck, almost 2,000 yards for the season, so that didn't hurt.
Right.
But
It doesn't hurt at all. Now, we were talking a little bit off air. One of the big questions is going to be what's going to happen with the offense with the new offensive coordinator, with Zach Taylor. Eddie Gran left. I think he went to be the offensive coordinator out at Kentucky. So that's 3 really good productive seasons of offense gone. I mean, last year they had almost 7,000 total yards of offense, and we're in the top 10 in total offense with let me see here, 537 yards a game. So they've lost the director of that, and now we're going to have to see what Zach Taylor can come in and do with what weapons he has. And again, the cupboard's a little bare at wide receiver. I'm really looking for them to lean on that running game in this opening game, at least early on, just to see what we do.
Exactly. To get things in order, to try to see which receivers are going to be your go-to guys, like you said. Cole coming back, but a lot of the other guys being fresh-faced. Yes. Yeah, losing Shaq Washington and all the other receivers that they lost. I mean, last year, despite not having the greatest record, they still had a lot of their offensive records broken for the team.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, just ask Ohio State. I mean, that game ended up being a shootout, when they played them, because all the yards receiving they had. So, we'll have to see what they can do with that group. It's going to be a young group. It's going to be a green group, so to speak. But I think, getting things tuned up a little bit here as they head into some of their tougher games. This is why you schedule teams like Tennessee Martin early. You want to see what you can do. So, exactly. And we'll learn quickly.
And I think the defense is going to be dramatically improved because Coach Prunty, that was unfortunately not his best season last year. The defense had a lot of issues. The line had problems stopping the run. But yeah, I think he's got things going in the right direction this year with having what was it, Alex Pace coming back. That's going to help a lot. And then the safety, Zach Edwards. Those are going to be two of the big cogs on the defense.
Yeah. Zach Edwards, I think, was the team's second leading tackler last year. And then we've also got Eric Wilson coming back. He was the team's leading tackler out at outside linebacker. I think he racked up over 100 tackles. So we're really going to need to see what those guys can do. You're right. Last year was a rough year for the defense, and actually some of the things I've read here in the off season actually suggest that maybe even Tommy Tuberville is going to take over a little bit of the defensive calling on game days. Because of that. We'll see what happens. Again, I think going up against Tennessee Martin is going to help out a lot. And you were talking about the inside of the defense. I believe you named Alex Pace.
Yes,
everything is going to start up front. Alex Pace, and the other one is Cortez Broughton, I believe, is coming back. And they may not have had a lot of tackles, but they are going to occupy offensive linemen. They're going to get a push up the middle, and that's going to give those linebackers and obviously the defensive backs some more time to get into the plays and maybe get in there and get some pressure on the quarterback if they throw. Looking ahead to just specifically this game, Tennessee Martin, I think I saw they're starting a new quarterback. They have lost their top receiver. They lost their top running back. Last year, their offensive numbers were outstanding. But this year, we're going to have to see what happens because they are replacing a lot. And in this game specifically, if you can get that pressure up front, it's really going to help out your defensive, quote-unquote, skill players quite a bit. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens with that.
Yeah. Hopefully it goes as well as it did last year with Alabama A&M, how they did them in the first game, 52-10. That way everybody got out there. They got some playing time. They got to feel comfortable. I'm not going to say it's going to be that easy since the Skyhawks, they're from the Ohio Valley Conference. In the last 10 years, their coach, who has had the most tenure in the Ohio Valley, is Jason Simpson. He's had a pretty good record, a little bit above 500 overall. And then in conference, he's over 600 winning percentage, so he's been doing quite well.
Yeah, they've got a good team. This isn't going to be a cakewalk by any means. As a matter of fact, I could see it being a tough game through 3, maybe even 3.5 quarters, depending on how the offense does. Depending on what the UC offense can do. So I think it's going to be an excellent test for this team. They're young. They're young on offense, new receivers, new quarterback, and they need to face a good team to get used to the speed, to get used to the game situation, if you will. They need to see some pressure. They need to get used to it and see how it goes.
Very true. And then, it should be a well-attended game. Just based on last year's numbers, almost every game at Nippard was either at capacity or darn close. 39, let's see, what was the other numbers? 39, 38. Heck, it says the max capacity is 40,000, and there's a couple games where it shows they had over 40,000 people there.
Yeah. Well, UC football, they really came to under Brian Kelly, and they've struggled a little bit since. So hopefully Tommy can get some of that momentum going. Gosh, I remember talking back when they hired Tommy Tuberville. I was very surprised that he was somebody that they could get, at the time, that he wanted to come here. And, what is this? This is his going into his fourth season, I believe. And I'd really like to see what was that? I'm sorry.
Oh, he started in 2012.
2012. Okay, so yeah, we're going into his fourth season, and I would really like to see the support get there for this team. Nippert Stadium is one of the best places in the country to watch a football game, and I've been all over the place and seen football games, and it's just a cool setting, and also it's very fan friendly, and I think as people get there and they watch this team, and as long as their expectations aren't set too high, for this team, I think it could be a good season for them. And this first game will get things started on the right foot.
Exactly. That was the tough part last season, that expectations from the previous year were so high that them making a medium bowl was kind of felt like a letdown after just after their numbers the previous year.
Exactly, and then the bowl performance, and let's not go into that. But everything you look at going into the season, at least not everything, but a lot of the previews that I've looked at going into the season continually reference last year's disappointment. And that seems to be the big buzzword when you look back at last year. Man, they did come in with a lot of fanfare. They were picked to win the AAC by several people. And then they just got into it, and it didn't happen. I don't know if it was coaches' schemes. I don't know if it was the players. I don't know if it was the combination of players, the chemistry. Something happened. And so hopefully Tommy's going to get the ship righted this year and maybe even surprise some people. Now, are they going to win the AAC? I don't know, man. That Houston team is tough. But, I've seen preseason picks for them anywhere from the 3rd to the 5th. I think I really think they can do that. I think they can come out on the high end of that and maybe even surprise some people and finish up in the 2nd spot. But it's going to depend on, so much goes into a football season. And this. So much goes into it with the coaches, the coaching staff, their chemistry, the players, their chemistry, and then the chemistry between the two. That everything has to happen right for that perfect season to come up and for things to go well. And that's what they're facing this year, and quite honestly, I'm a little worried with the new quarterback being named so late and with so many new players coming in. But again, I'm not paid the big bucks to run the team. We'll see what Tommy can do with them.
Very true. He should be able to get them to another bowl game. So far, the last 3 years they've been in bowl games.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So shoot with the belt, the military, and the Hawaiian last year. Like you said, unfortunately, we don't want to talk about the Hawaiian.
Man.
Yeah.
Let's blame it on the long trip out there. So,
exactly.
Jet lag. But and those are 3 good bowls. They're not New Year's Day bowls. They're not New Year's Eve bowls. And obviously they're not the playoff, but we need to go in with realistic expectations for this team in this coming season. And I think a bowl of that quality or a little better is definitely within reach, depending on how things go, obviously.
And I'm a little biased. I'm hoping for the Motor City Bowl. I don't know, forget what the qualifications to be the team to go to the Motor City, but that's the one I would like to see. Motor City or the Music City. One of those two.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that way it's not too far, and I'm not going to lie, maybe we'll have to make a road trip.
Hey, that works for me. I made a couple road trips up to Motor City Bowls in the past years, and those were fun. So
exactly.
I'm all for it on that one. So
yeah, one of those would be reasonable. I ain't gonna lie, that the Hawaii thing, shoot, the wife would kill me. We're going to the Hawaii. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? We can go get a tan and bring back a lei or something for him. So
exactly, that'll make him happy.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And then you were talking about, of course, UC is one of the nicer places to watch a game, to play a game. And in 2012, when I was covering the team and scouting for the Northern Kentucky River Monsters. That was one of the things that players kept reiterating to me, is that they wish they were back at Nippert. And that year, Paul Brown, and it always baffled me, because I'm like, well, don't you want to play here? This is where the pros play. This is going to be the best. And they're like, no, it just doesn't have the feel. It's not home. It's nice, but it's just not where we're supposed to be. It doesn't have the crowd. It doesn't have the band running on the field, because, Lordy, how Paul Brown set up, you aren't going from in the stands to on the field without a nice 10-foot jump. So, they weren't going to try that one. So, yeah, it was nice. Of course, the last couple of years with them being back home and just seeing the atmosphere and seeing how the fans and the players do interact.
Mm-hmm. And they've done a great job with that stadium. You know, I mean, it's one of the oldest stadiums in the country. And it's great. And what's cool is you are right on the field. You know, a couple of the kids teams I coach, we get to go down there on a game night, and the kids get to make the tunnel for the players to run out. You know, our kids wear their jerseys out there. You sit 5 rows back, and five rows back, you can hear everything that's going on. I mean, you can hear the coaches on the other team yelling at the players. You can hear the snap count, you know, you can hear everything, and it's a really cool atmosphere and such a really neat feeling when you can get that close. I mean, I graduated from UC. You know, I remember going down there and playing football with some of my roommates, you know, because you could get down on the field. And for that to be the center point of the campus and the centerpiece is just, it's so neat, you know, and I mean, that may be a weak word to describe it by saying neat, but it really is. It's a great experience, and in that atmosphere, you know, you walk through the tailgates to get to the field, and the team comes running out, and it is sometimes an overwhelming experience, and it's something that everybody's got to get.
I know what you mean. It's got that sense of community to it. It's got that nice, just overall feels like you're a part of it, not just you're watching, but that you are adding to it, that whole 12th man kind of atmosphere.
Exactly. And as fans, we have to know that, you know, I mean, we can impact the game there, you know, and you feel like you can because you're right there. You feel like you can cheer and yell and get into the opponent's heads, you know, and all that fun stuff. And really there's few other places in this country that I'd want to watch a football game than at Nippert.
Okay. We're back now from commercial. We're just going to finish up with some of our takes and scores, predictions about the game.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, again, just to remind everybody, we're just, in this game, we're just looking for some progress. We're just looking for the young guys to step up and start making, and I hate to use a cliche, but making some good college football plays. You know, we need those young receivers to step up. We need them to get things going. And as we talked, you know, again, that's going to really depend on the running game. You know, to give that young quarterback some confidence and keep Hayden Moore out of situations where it's 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, and he has to make a great throw down the middle of the field, because that's when the turnovers happen. So let's look and see how those guys do. And hopefully, and I think we both expect them to, hopefully we will come out on the smiling side of the scoreboard, as one George Grand would say. So
exactly. Yeah, if they're up enough, hopefully some of these freshmen, especially the local guys, because we have several offensive linemen from Cincinnati, Marston. They got, BYCZNSKI.
Yeah, good luck pronouncing that one.
Yeah, no clue on that. But they got a couple of them. Garrison, you know, they got a bunch of nice, good, talented players from the local Cincinnati schools. Doug Bates is a tight end. Actually, wow, he's got pretty good size to him. 6'4", 230.
That's a pretty good sized tight end. Get a little more meat on his bones. He's going to be a difference maker. You know,
exactly.
And you got like Garrett Campbell, the offensive lineman from St. X. and some other guys like that on the team, and hopefully get them in. You know, if they're not going to be redshirted, get them in and get them some time in front of the home crowd. Let mom and dad cheer for them in the stands and have a good time. You know.
Exactly. And the nice thing is, photos from the game, recap from the game, will be on the Bearcat on Facebook on Cincinnati on the Prowl, and then of course we're going to have a lot of the content from the game, either photos, of course your article about the game, and of course our show on thegruelingtruth.com.
Right. Yeah, and it's my hope to have that game recap up by Friday afternoon, or at least turned in by Friday afternoon. We'll see when that gets up on the website, so be looking for it next weekend. Definitely.
Sounds great. Definitely.
All right, so I guess it's prediction time.
Prediction time, yes.
So let's see if we can make some. See if we should go to Vegas and make some money. So
exactly, I'm saying UC by about 20, so probably about 42 to 22.
Okay.
Something like that. You know, they're going to get the 2-point conversion, Martin will, because we all love that 2-point conversion. Can't get enough of it.
Yes, we do. Yeah, and you know what? I'm thinking in the 35-13 range, 35-13, 35-20. Maybe Tennessee Martin tacks on a late touchdown. But I'm looking forward to this defense, you know, seeing what these the returning players on the defense can do. I'm a much more defensive-minded person, and I'd like to see what they can do. So I'm thinking UC 35-13, maybe 35-20.
Exactly. Oh, shoot, and the sad thing is, and unfortunately with football, it always gets overlooked, and shoot, we even fell in the same trap. Special teams.
Special teams. Exactly. Yeah. No, I think, you know, that's obviously in all football. That's a place that can end up being a major weapon. And I think UC is bringing back – Andrew Gantz is coming back. I think this is his third year.
Mm-hmm.
And last year I think he was 37 for 47 on field goal attempts. I think, you know, they keep him inside that 45-yard range. I think he'll do well. And then you got the punter, Sam Geraci. I believe he's from here in Cincinnati. He's a pretty good punter. As a matter of fact, I think I saw something where he had the best average last year since Kevin Huber.
Yep.
So, you know, Kevin Huber's got his number up there on the facade of Old Nippert Stadium. So hopefully Sam Geraci can keep things going.
Yeah, because I've heard some of them bandied around for possibly some of the major kicking awards.
Yeah, definitely, and I think if they can have a repeat of, if they can have a repeat of last season, I think those major kicking awards are not out of the question. You know, what is it, the Groza Award, and I forget what it is for the punters. But yeah, I think they could definitely be in play for some of those awards. Okay, so now that we've given our predictions, we've talked about the offense, the defense, and the specialists. Really isn't much more to do other than wrap it up. So I'd like to thank you for listening this week, and this is a weekly show. So on behalf of James, this is Mark signing off. Make sure you check out our Facebook page and check into The Grueling Truth and look for our podcast and look for our game wrap-up. Thanks for listening.